welcome to Talking Bottom. I'm Ange Pearson.
I'm Matt Brooks.
And I'm Paul Tanser.
This week we're doing a special episode talking about the Rik Mayall Comedy Festival 2026. Can't believe we're in 2026, everyone. It obviously was a couple of months ago now by the time you're listening to this, but we wanted to pop on just to have a reflection on all the fantastic times we had at Rik Mayall Fest, and also to give you all a bit of a heads up that the Paul Jackson episode is coming next week. It's going to be on video as well on YouTube. We had it videoed in the room. So please don't just listen to it on audio. If you want to go onto our YouTube channel, which is just at Talking Bottom, you'll be able to see Paul and us chatting away on stage, wanking each other off. And it's glorious. It's really, really fun. So we can't wait to share it. Sorry, it's taken a while, but obviously with the video edit on top, it takes extra long. We had to wait for the files to come through. You don't need to know all the boring bits. But anyway, Paul Jackson and us is coming up next. And then there'll also be a bonus episode with his Q&A from our Happy Families.
That's audio only though.
Screening. That will be audio only, yeah. And we're really looking forward to getting those out. But we wanted to just have a little bit of a chat about Rikfest because it's already over a month ago now for us. And we also had our Talking Bottom quiz at the Old Cock Inn on the Sunday night, didn't we? We did 3 events this year, which was a first for us.
What a weekend it was, right? I mean, like we'd been there last year where we did one event with Ed By, which was great, which we also have a video of up on our YouTube as well as the audio episode. The atmosphere at the first festival was so amazing that we just thought, well, we have to be involved. If they do another year, and I think it was a sort of a fairly certain thing that was going to happen. If they do another one, we really want to go back, and they were really kind enough to not only have us back doing an event, but doing, as you said, Ange, 3 events. We had our interview with Paul Jackson, all about his career, about the young ones and everything at the Norbury, a sort of wonderful extra bonus thing of seeing Rick's episode of Happy Families later on that day where Paul then did a Q&A, and that was lovely for me because I'd never seen this episode before. I'd not really been that too aware of the show, and that's had me sort of, now I'm going to hunt down the rest of the show. And we did our Talking Bottom pub quiz as well on the next night. So it was like, I mean, like in terms of like comedy festivals, the atmosphere there is it's second to none, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And am I right in thinking it was actually because Paul Jackson and Ben Elton had been talking about Happy Families, and
that's right,
Ben had said it only ever got aired once, and it kind of, and obviously Rick's in one of them, and it sort of all just came about that Paul Jackson was like, how about we screen Happy Families? Like, I've got the episode. It's not been seen by very many. And should we tell everyone about the technical fuck up that happened, just in brief? Just in brief.
I mean, if you weren't there,
well, I just wanted to say
we delayed the start because Paul had brought along a remastered bootleg DVD of Happy Families. It was one of my favorite
of his own show.
His own show. It's one of my favorite.
Love that he had to get that off eBay.
He told us about it. Yeah, he bought it from someone, and then so it's super dodgy. And then when it comes up on the screen, it says copyright. He's like, what is copyright?
That's how rare it is to get your hands on Happy Families, because it was only put out once. I think did it come out on an official VHS or DVD?
I think so.
If it is, it's very few.
It was ever...
Not DVD, maybe VHS.
So, it's kind of lost to time in many ways. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do the screening, and why Paul wanted it to be this remastered version that was like a really good copy. And anyway, in summary, what I will say, I'll preface this with, all of the staff, volunteers, like Stuart, who runs the Rik Mayall Comedy Festival, Abby, who was the events manager at the St Andrews Hotel. Like, this is not to slag off anyone particularly, but like we'd had a few conversations on email in the lead up, because of course it's a DVD. It's now, quote unquote, old tech, isn't it? No one plays DVDs anymore. So we'd said, is there going to be a DVD player? It said there was going to be a DVD player in the tech spec, all of that. We don't need to bore you. But anyway, when we got there at the moment, we'd had the tech rehearsal, and then when we got there was no working DVD player. There was a DVD player, but no remote to go with the DVD player, so you couldn't choose.
Then my favourite thing about that was it's no remote. Then Abby came over with a basket of probably 20 remotes, and I literally turned away to hide my laughter at seeing that at the case. I've got some remotes. None of them worked. Not one of them worked.
Maybe Eddie had wrapped up the remote control to give to Richie as his birthday present. That's where the DVD player thing went.
That's definitely what it was. Yeah.
It's the remote control from the DVD player at the St Andrews Hotel.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's right. Yeah. And did you not notice there was a comb mixed in with all of the DVD remotes?
And Paul Jackson's patience was wearing thin. I'm not in a horrible way. I loved seeing him go into proper professional mode. Paul Jackson went into proper professional mode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an absolute consummate professional. He was on his hands and knees, fiddling around with wires in the back of the DVD player, trying to get the thing to work. And the thing is, we could press play, we could press stop, but we couldn't choose the third episode in the DVD. You couldn't move the menu along without a remote. Anyway, that's just a peek behind the curtain as to some of the stuff that goes wrong. But what happened was, thanks to that, you downloaded the thing from YouTube. It was like a thing on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So we could screen something, but it wasn't the quality. And Paul was a bit disappointed, wasn't he?
And it had an advert pop up in the middle as well, which was a bit of an unwelcome surprise.
An old show chewing the fat on UK TV or whatever. But I love that because Paul turned to the crowd and he was like, "This isn't mine." About that popping up.
Yeah, it was a drug. It was a drug commercial thing, wasn't it? For weed.
Matt definitely saved the day there by having that download in the back pocket. And you're right, Paul Jackson was amazing. Like as you say, he was on his hands and his knees trying to sort out cables and DVD players as well.
Stuart from the festival actually ran to the Norbury Theatre, which, if you don't know the geography, is a good sort of 15 minutes on foot. We were at 5 to 6. We were meant to be starting, and Stuart was like, "There's definitely a DVD player at the Norbury. I'll run down there and bring it back." We were like, "Okay, but we need to start, so probably not worth it." But he's like, "I'll go and do it anyway." Disappeared. We were obviously on the stage with Paul Jackson by the time he apparently got back, clasping a DVD player and remote. So we must thank everyone thank you to everyone at the Norbury Theatre. Their tech team and everything there are absolutely stupendous, aren't they? They're all volunteers. Brian, Ben, and Anthony, absolute stars, stars. We didn't have a worry in the world with them. And I think St Andrews Hotel was the first venue. It was the first year St Andrews Hotel was being used as a venue, so it was a few teething troubles, should we say? But I mean, everyone there was really, really helpful.
So at the Norbury, I mean, we were on stage with Paul Jackson for 90 minutes in the end, and a lot of our show at the Norbury was very reliant on clips. So the staff there were great queuing the clips up, doing the lighting changes. But how great was it to be there? Like we'd done it the year before with Ed Bye. How great was it to be on stage with Paul Jackson, playing clips that he'd selected and some that we'd selected, and getting his reactions to them, and being in the room with people laughing at them at the time, and then getting his responses to things like letters that had been written to him as the producer from viewers and from other people in the BBC. And we had a few excerpts of Lise Mayer reading out the essay that they had to write for the BBC to get the show sort of kept on the air, as it were. And it's great when you consider that Paul Jackson is the guy who brought the young ones to screen to share that experience with him. It was magical, you know?
Well, that was an exclusive in the room for everyone, that Lise Mayer was reading out the essay, because that obviously happened before we put out our podcast with Lisa. So that was really lovely to sort of hear people reacting to that, and obviously Paul seeing that for the first time in however many years, and just to see the crowd laughing at clips like that was what stuck with me when we interviewed Ed Bye. Whenever I used to do my quizzes and I'd play stuff in the room for the quiz and stuff, and it's like hearing people laughing at everything that's always brought you joy, and you've kind of watched maybe with your sibling or mum and dad or whatever, but it's felt very personal to you, and then to have a room full of people who all share that love is just, you can't conjure up out of anything other than getting a crowd together and enjoying those moments of laughter. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why Bottom Live was so magic, wasn't it? It's like Rik and Aid on stage and you get to see them. Obviously, we're not equating us having an interview on stage with that level of hysteria, but it's that communal thing. That's what comedy should be.
Yeah, the laughter in the room is definitely enhanced by just having other people there. It's a social thing. It becomes, I don't want to use the word performative. That's wrong, because that suggests it's not a real laugh. But you do laugh more when you're around people, and even though I don't think any one of those clips would have been seen for the first time, apart from the Lise Mayer thing, but people were laughing at that. Yeah, you know, like clips from the young ones. Everyone in that room had seen those clips before, yet they were laughing as if it was the first time they'd seen it. It's lovely. I equate that these events, doing the live thing there, like some people say, "Oh, you're nervous getting on stage." Like, not really, to be honest, because it's like coming to a room full of people that love food and saying, "Hey, we've got ice cream." They're like, "Oh, great! You know, I love ice cream. Why would they? You know, no one's gonna take any of this badly. We had Paul Jackson there. I loved it."
Yeah, no, comedy fans all get together. It is scientifically been proven that people in a room together will laugh more at something because there is that collective. It's a psychological thing that you will laugh more when other people are laughing. Equally, you're less
Right.
likely to laugh if other people aren't laughing. There's a real social
Okay.
kind of, you know, it's like whether you're showing you're intelligent or not, and all this kind of stuff with laughter. Like, but as you say, people have watched that over and over again, still laughing. So it's not performative as such, but I know what you mean. Like, you kind of
Mhm.
heighten your reaction because you're around other people.
Not performative, but assurative. You have like the reassurance of
Mhm.
oh, everyone else approves of it, likes it, therefore
Mhm.
you will. I suppose that's why people stay silent.
Yeah.
Even if other people aren't laughing, then yeah, as you say, Ange, the temptation is not to, unless of course it's me at one of Matt's comedy gigs where he's making jokes that I think are brilliant and no one else seems to be getting.
Yeah, that's
I
something that
think,
actually did happen. I said a joke, but it was a dark joke, and
yeah.
silence apart from Paul, who fucking belly laughed, and
But that's the thing. Like,
yeah.
you find your people, don't you? You find your people with that. And I'm so proud of when people do laugh in spite of other people not getting stuff. Like, I'm not in any way the same, Matt, but I did a couple of stand-up things, and there was one joke that was quite dark of mine, and it would split the room. But I
Mm,
just remember there was one time a guy absolutely belly laughed at the back. And I
mm,
was just like, it was worth saying it for that one guy laughing. Like,
brilliant.
and but that's the brilliance of the young ones, because actually, obviously there are some people, we've read out the reviews, you know, some people hated the young ones, right? But once you found your audience, found your crowd, like, you're never going to lose them. Like, you know, especially with something as quality and fantastic as young ones, like everyone who loved Rick and Ade
Mm.
growing up have continued to love them. We are all a testament to that, aren't we? Like, you don't lose that love because they've made you laugh so fucking hard for so fucking long.
That's something I brought up with Paul Jackson in our first interview with him. I said, you know, when I was watching Young Ones as a kid, my dad hated it. And Paul's reaction was, good, good. It
Yeah,
wasn't for him, it was for
Yeah.
you. Like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, great.
Now,
Uh,
there was one video that we played in the room at the time that one person told us it was the first time they'd seen this video. And that was, we played for Paul Jackson a brief excerpt of when he was on stage with Rick at Exeter University, where they both got honorary doctorates. And many people will remember the clip that often gets played on social media, which is Rick doing his five mantras: wisdom, opportunity, freedom, love. But the bit before that, that leads up to that, is Rick very publicly getting Paul Jackson to stand up on stage and introducing him as the man who walked into the Comedy Store and asked Rick if he'd like to be on TV. And the events from that led through to Rick meeting the woman he would later marry and become the mother of his children. And he thanked Paul Jackson publicly, as he said, for his life. And Paul had experienced that in the room at Exeter at the time, but he said he hadn't seen that since. And it was great
wow.
to share that with Paul, but also with the people there, because as you say, Ange, there's a lot of love for Ade and Ade as well, but also for Rick, that you could really see in the room, and that really came out through that video and through Paul's reaction to it. It was lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hadn't seen that at all often. I had seen it at some point, and one of my favorite things, obviously, like the full thing's going to come out, but the story that Paul Jackson told us about what Rick had said to Floella Benjamin in the moments before they went on stage at that, because if anyone hasn't watched the book, like, Floella Benjamin is who introduces Rick to come, you know, this is Dr. Rik Mayall, you know, she's the one, but she says, like, he's a very naughty man, like, before she introduced him. And that's all she says. That's all she says publicly. Like, he's a very naughty man. She's got like a knowing smile. Rick comes
Mm.
up, you know, does his thing. But actually, backstage, Paul Jackson's revealed what it was that Rick had said. Shall I reveal it, or shall I get everyone to listen to Paul's interview?
I
I feel
think
like
that.
we
I
need to
think that.
reveal it
No, no,
slightly, otherwise people will be annoyed.
no.
But yes, it basically, you know, because she, if anyone doesn't know, Floella Benjamin used to present Play School. You know, it's a children's program basically, and Rik had said, like, oh yes, I always used to have to watch you with the tissues standing by. Basically, that is what Rik had said, with a little bit of a knowing, didn't
Yeah.
actually say anything about wanking, but she knew exactly what he'd said. And
Because she made him cry. That's what he meant.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
of
through his
course,
penis.
yeah. Yeah, so that I loved that we got that nugget out of
Mhm.
Paul Jackson, because obviously he was backstage with Rik when he said it.
Yeah.
All of these amazing stories that are coming out from the Rik Mayall Comedy Festival are gold dust to me. Anything that Rik said that isn't on record, like, I love that we might be uncovering it. And one of the really special things about the Rik Mayall Festival, just to talk about the festival as a whole, not just our events, is to see people walking around town dressed in different Rik characters. That's lovely. You feel like you're at a Rik convention in many ways, and some of them are really young. There was one girl, Georgina, I think she was like 14, dressed as Rik the poet, and her dad was there as Alan Bastard, and
Mm.
he's got her into Rik stuff. Like, amazing. Love talking to them. And then the memory wall, they've got, what are your memories of Rik? And this year in the kind of HQ, they actually had all the memories up on the wall for people to fill out and to read as the week went on. And because I went back for
Nice.
the final weekend because I couldn't keep myself away, I went in there and it was full. Like, the wall was full of loads of beautiful memories. And I will say the standout one for me was from Bonnie, Rik's daughter. And it simply says, my favorite memory of my dad is going to the corner shop, because my dad could make everything funny, like, could make anything funny. And that really touched me. And I hope Bonnie wouldn't mind me sharing that, because it was up publicly on a wall, and it was like, oh, imagine, like, of all the hilarious, brilliant things that, Rik has done, but for his actual family, it's like, we just loved him
Yeah.
as him. And obviously we've recently seen Bonnie, Rosie and Sid talking on the Rik Mayall Magnificent Bastard documentary, and you can, that always on never off, that like just shines, doesn't it? But I imagine, yeah, Rik would have made just the most mundane, banal scenarios hilarious and joyful, as any dad will. But if your dad's Rik Mayall,
Mm.
like
It
that
was,
would be
and
another level.
it was lovely to have that. I believe both Bonnie and Rosie were at the attended the festival at times, because obviously Rosie is married to Red Richardson, who was
Yeah,
performing also at the St Andrews Hotel just before we were on with Phil
yeah,
Jackson. So it was lovely to have that sort of personal family seal of approval for the festival. I know that the festival is always very keen to work closely with the family to make sure everything they're sort of okay with everything. That wall of memories, everyone who has a memory of Rik feels like it's personal to them,
mm,
but obviously for the family, it's really, that's lovely that they shared something so
yeah.
intimate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think, I don't know, I'm not psychoanalyzing, but it must be incredible to go back to your hometown, as in your dad's hometown where your family still are. Like, obviously Rick's sisters are still in Droitwich Spa, somewhere that you're so familiar with, and have the entire town taken over by love for your dad. Because like Rick's face is in pretty
Mm.
much every shop window, isn't it? And like there are
Mm.
loads and loads of, different like names and things, like people are coming out with stories. And who wouldn't want to go and celebrate their dad, like, and have those memories? Because Bonnie and Rosie, all of them were young, like they're still young. We're really young when Rik died. And I went back for the final Saturday, and our lovely friend Delaney Hadji Daniel was doing the Q&A with Peter Richardson after the Four Men in a Plane event, like the screening of that. And Bonnie was in the crowd there, and she
Yeah.
put her hand up and asked Peter Richardson, which amazing. He was like, "Is that Bonnie?" Afterwards, and she just said, what's your funniest memory with my dad?" Like, well, she didn't say with my dad, she said
Oh.
with Rik. I mean, again, I hope no one will mind me sharing this. It was shared in the room, but basically, it was that when Peter Richardson went to visit Rik in Devon. This was like obviously years ago now, but like after his accident, I think, and they went for a walk. He was like, "Let's go for a walk." I think Rik always liked to do that. Like, we'll go for a walk, we'll talk. And basically, obviously, Devon would be surrounded by lots of different kind of like terrain. And essentially, Peter Richardson got stuck like chest deep in a swamp. Like, he just went into this marshland or whatever. And Rik apparently just absolutely hysterically was wetting himself laughing. Peter Richardson's like, "Help me out, help, get me out of here, like." And Rik was just laughing, doubled over. And then he did, I think, eventually help him out. And all the way the walk back was them thinking of the different headlines that it would have been if Peter Richardson had died. And it was like, "Sick Rik laughs as TV pal drowns in swamp. And I just love that detail of like TV pal is what Peter Richardson would have been reduced to in Rick's mind. It's like sick Rick laughs as TV pal.
Doesn't even get a
Peter
mention.
Richardson was like, that's my funniest memory of Rick, because obviously that was a personal memory between the two of them. But like you could just see him laughing his head off, can't you? Like a naughty child. Like instead of helping someone, he would just be absolutely enjoying the hilarity of that moment.
Unable to help
yeah,
because of the laughter.
all of these stories coming out, and I'm so glad Bonnie put her hand up and said, what's your funniest memory with Rick? Because it's not the kind of thing you do always ask. It's always, you know, what was it like filming that? Who's your favorite character? You know, we've interviewed Peter Richardson, and we wouldn't necessarily say we do say like, what are your memories of working with them and things, but we're never like, what's your funniest exact memory? And sometimes people can't remember or don't have an answer, do they? Because you put them on the spot. So that was, I really like loved that Peter Richardson shared that personal one, because he could have said any number of things from filming on the comic strip or whatever, couldn't he? So yeah, Rik Mayall Comedy Festival is really special. All the people involved are amazing. I've seen so many great reviews of the festival as a whole, and we're just proud and honoured. In many ways, can't believe that we have been allowed to do events there. Like it's wonderful, and I really hope there will be a third Rik Fest in 2027. Like, I mean, I think it's to be confirmed, but I really hope it is the case, and hopefully we'll be able to be involved.
I think they're talking about it right now. Hopefully, we'll know very soon if there will be another one. Obviously, it won't be until much nearer the time that they'll start to talk about lineups and all that sort of thing. But yeah, if it's something that, as long as it goes on, I hope that they'll have us back.
My advice for anyone that's performing there is to go back another day and take in the festival as well, because on the day, like, it's a little bit too manic and stuff. And like, yeah, I wish I had done the Rick tour. There's a Rick Walk or something it's called.
Yeah,
all these
I asked
childhood events and things.
I asked about that, and apparently it is really just a walk through the town. It's not like at any particular point there's a particular story attached or anything. It's just like, this is the mail trail through the town. But you know, it's everywhere you go though around the place, you just sort of like, oh, you know, Rick must have been, you know, stomping on these same you know, the Norbury Theatre, I think I've said it every single time we've been in there, like how special that's the stage that Rick first performed on as a young boy and Waiting for Godot, and he's up doing the lights, and like that's where his love of theatre was born. And it is a special little theatre, isn't it? Like it's got a magic to it. It's got a really lovely intimate feel, because the crowd aren't that far away from you. It's a 200-seater venue, isn't it? Like it's not huge, just perfect for comedy. Obviously perfect for us doing Q&As and stuff.
We'll talk a little bit about the cosplay event that we had in our quiz. We had a bunch of people turn up in different costumes, gave away a prize to Paul, can't remember his second name, dressed as Richie Rich, dressed as the Nolans.
Oh yeah, we should talk about everyone, because we pretty much got to know everyone who came in costume, didn't we? So it was a really tough decision, and we let the crowd decide in the end, didn't we? Because we felt that was the fairest way. It was, again, talking about chatting to, you know, kind of teenagers who've discovered Rick. There was a 14-year-old girl who I believe is called Holly. She was on TikTok, wasn't she? She'd come as Adonis Canut, which I think is you know, I'm like, oh, of all the Rick characters, like Adonis Canut, and she looked amazing, this pinstripe suit with the little kind of like pocket watch and stuff, and she'd done her hair like, you know, proper Adonis. That was amazing. And then we had the whole table, didn't we? So it was like Paul Denis, who's the brickuationist. We had Eleni Hadji-Daniel, who'd come as Carlos from A Fistful of Traveller's Checks. We had, I can't remember her name, it was Neil, wasn't there? Denny had come as Colin Grigson, hadn't she, from Bad News, and then like Paul, her husband,
she had a carrot. A carrot down the front, right?
She had a carrot strapped sellotape to her inner thigh, which is a deep reference to a photo shoot they did as Bad News, right?
Yeah, that's on, I think one of their album covers has them. It's like they're basically their trousers around their ankles, and you know, they've got like, one of them's got a carrot taped to their leg, another one's got like a fucking like marrow or something. It's like ridiculously sized things. You know, so when they pull the spandex up, it just looks like they're absolutely packing. Yeah,
they're massive wads. Yeah, so that was great detail. She was like, I was going to try a marrow, but I just couldn't like walk with it. It's like, no, that's okay. But yeah, so, and we couldn't really decide, could we? So we whittled it down to a top 3, which was Eleni as Carlos, And then obviously we've already like said about Holly, who was Adonis Knut, because she'd made a real effort and she was 14, so it was kind of like gotta be. And then, but I mean, hats off to Paul, who came as Richie Rich as the Nolans, like wearing the Nolans dress. It was perfect, wasn't it? It was like the material and everything was literally like he'd got what it was from costume.
Lipstick smudged over his
commitment
face.
to the lipstick around the face. It was it was amazing. It was perfect. Like he clearly put a lot of work into it. I'm glad that he won, but like as you say, we threw it open to the crowd, which can sometimes be a bit like it can sometimes be whoever brought the most people with them, but in this case I think it was fair. And it was great, and he very deservedly won the mucky pants that Matt had prepared.
Matt had lovingly stained over many weeks before, hadn't you? You'd worn them inside and out.
No,
Matt, tell us how you achieved it.
So I bought a pair of XXL Y fronts and then meticulously stained them in sort of certain areas to replicate Richie's pants. A little bit of yellow on one corner, which was meant to be a stubborn custard stain, which just hadn't washed out, but people assumed was dry cum or piss.
Cum.
I don't know. Sometimes goes really. A little behind the scenes facts about that. I did tell Denny about this. When I framed it in the morning, I noticed a bug had got into the pants and was trapped in with the glass. So I unframed it, got the bug out, and put it in, because some people were saying, "Oh, that's cool, that's gross." I was like, no, that's the difference between pretend gross and actually gross. So got that.
We don't need dead flies laying eggs in your cum stains. But that was brilliant. And I mean, we should also give a shout out to the really exciting tiebreaker that happened, because we had a limit of 6 per team, because otherwise it just gets ridiculous. But the sort of the mighty brains of 2 teams basically were exactly the same, not on the same questions though, and they had a tiebreaker, didn't they, which came down to a nail-biting finish. So it was really, really fun, really nice to do the quiz. A few people were like, "Oh, we thought it was only going to be on bottom," and we thought, no, we're going to do like Rik, because otherwise it's unfair to anyone who isn't like
I think it says it's because we're the Talking Bottom pub quiz, I suppose. Why it's just our brand, isn't it? One thing I just do want to finish with we gifted the pants to Paul, and then he gifted that to Holly, the Adonis Knut costume, because she was younger and appreciated it more, I suppose. Not that he hated them and thought it was shit.
He's got enough sword underpants at home already. He doesn't need any more to add to the pile.
Yeah, no, that was really lovely of him to do that, because he's like, that's going to make her day, and it is just really lovely to do that. But it might have been that he didn't know where the hell he was going to put that frame up at home around all of the wonderful Lego creations that Denis, his partner, created. We should talk about the exhibition. We should talk about Andy's exhibition in the Norbury to finalise. There's so many things around Rikfest that are incredible, and you can do it for free. But within the Norbury Theatre, there's always an exhibition done by Andy Hollingworth, he has done for the last 2 years, and presume he will continue. And this year's theme was the young ones, which was fantastic to see. Obviously, little bits of merch. She had done a very special The Young Ones flat, hadn't she?
The deep
references. The bed was on fire and everything. Like, it was so detailed. And then obviously like the signed Bachelor Boys book and things, which I loved. Like, it was signed by Rik and Ade, and it's got like, because obviously in the Bachelor Boys book you've got the twat thing, haven't you? And then like there's like banter between Rik and Ade basically across the page. Like, it's absolutely wonderful to see like the tickets to the TV recordings and things like that. It's a museum. It's like a museum piece basically that pops up for a week. Zoe Reed did the costumes, didn't she? Zoe designed and made the costumes for all of the boys.
Zoe had her great costumes there.
And Paul Jackson actually thought they were it. Like, when he was in there, he apparently said, "Oh, these are the actual costumes from the BBC department." She was so delighted. It was like, "No, I've just lovingly recreated them." So that's how good they were.
Also on the walls there was some brilliant artworks, wasn't there? Because there was the pictures of Rik that were made up of like VHSs. I think, did you get one of those, Ange? Or because I know you were interested in one.
No, I was eyeing it up, but then I went and got a.
But then there was also. There was artwork, there was photos also, which were, I believe, from the photographer Trevor Rogers.
Yeah, and they were amazing.
His daughter His daughter was there selling prints, wasn't she? And like,
Yeah.
and tell us about the picture you got, Ange.
Well, because Trevor had sadly passed away, his daughter has kind of gone through his collection in a similar way to obviously, like obviously people do when someone's passed away. But he had all these amazing prints from an exhibition he'd done, but also she'd done just prints. He didn't have to buy them in a frame, and it's Rik, and the energy in it is incredible. It's Rik like throwing the mic, like he's in the Rik the Poet costume. All of that photo shoot is from the comic strip times basically, and it's all of those guys. Like look up Trevor Rogers online and the young ones slash the comic strip and look at those photos because they're absolutely incredible, and I believe you can buy them online. I snapped it up on the very first day. Like the energy in it is so good with Rik and the mic in the air. It's great.
Is that going up on your wall?
It will be. I'm going to get it framed and get it up there. I just need to get myself sorted. I think we could talk forever about how brilliant the Rik Mayall Comedy Festival is. If you haven't been there, you should experience it next year when it comes back. We loved it, so we just wanted to do this little sum up really, because
to whet your appetite between now and then, check out our video of us interviewing Paul Jackson on stage. We've got that'll be up on our YouTube, as well as our one from last year with Ed By as well.
And it is our 100th episode, isn't it? This is number 99.
Yep.
And it's the 100th episode of the podcast. So that's a really nice sort of coincidence. We didn't actually plan on it. So yeah, but stay tuned. There's going to be more to come, more interviews, etc. So keep on listening. We will share the links as and when they come out. We're at Talking Bottom on all the socials.
Yeah, on Facebook as well. We're at 100,000 followers as well. So yeah, doing quite well on the socials.
All the hundreds. Very good.
All right.
Bye. See you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.